Live this evening in Letcher County. Jonathan, I'm sure you've heard so many just heartbreaking stories there. What do you have for us this evening?
Lucky neighbors, so many Kentuckians they've yet to get back to their property to even take out their belongings. I was talking to the relative of the woman living in this trailer. It was pushed off its foundation, then slammed against these trees. That utility pole, I'm told the resident is okay. All of her belongings, though, still inside, likely destroyed. Amid all of this pain, all of this damage, however, still finding those examples of neighbors helping neighbors. The IGA grocery store in Issam.
We're going to have to go and check on the store.
Has long been a central part of Gwendolyn Kristen's life for 50 years.
Since 1973. I started to work here in August in 1973.
Kristen never left, and she and her husband purchased the store in 1998. It has long been the heart of Issam.
I love the community, love the people that was working here with me, and I just said, if you all stay with me, we'll try to make it a go.
Last Wednesday, floodwater from this stream reached 6 feet inside the store, destroying everything.
We looked down here and I said, we're in trouble, though.
So, for the moment, the future of the town's only full-size grocery store is in limbo. But Kristen is not standing idle. In fact, she's volunteering, managing this water and food pickup station.
But they asked me if I'd volunteer to take over the distribution of food and water, since that's what I do for a living. That's what I love to do. So I said, sure, I got to take care of my community.
We see this example throughout our entire travels, just folks who really haven't been able to begin the recovery process. And you have to imagine, the closer you get to that Kentucky-Virginia border, the more rural it gets, the more difficult it gets for volunteers to even travel to this part of the state. They still need water, they still need food, and they need clothing. All of that's been ruined, just like what's inside this trailer behind me. Still a very dire situation for hundreds, if not thousands of Kentuckians right now.
Jonathan, good evening. And where do recovery efforts stand at this hour?
Long way to go. Widespread is an accurate word. It bears repeating how widespread the damage is. I spent about 3 hours on the road today, starting in Hazard and Point South. And so it's not hard to believe, since so many people are affected. Many are just now getting started with the cleanup process. In fact, I met a pastor, you're about to meet him, who was waiting for out-of-state help to arrive before he started cleaning out his church.
That's where the water came with the force against it.
The smell inside Letcher Independent Baptist Church is growing stronger.
Yeah, it gets worse every day.
Pastor Bill Jones says he's planning to clear everything out as soon as help arrives. Jones says most of the church members are his age or older. In addition, many are dealing with their own losses from the flood, so he's relying on volunteer help he says is traveling from Tennessee.
We've had some people that's lost everything. Some of our members, their homes are gone. Quite a few of them, and others are severely damaged, so.
In fact, because of how rural many of the impacted communities are, people are struggling to find enough volunteers or relief items.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. That's why we're not we don't have internet yet, so we really can't communicate. Our phones are just starting to come back on.
Those who can are spending hours on the road, driving to other towns who have items like food and clothing available, a task made difficult because so many vehicles were washed away.
I've been down to get water. When you don't have any water, you can't do nothing.
In what has been the longest and most perilous week in their lives is being weighed down even more by a growing sense of desperation. There are few sounds more fitting to hear in Bourbon County than a freshwater stream. And perhaps...
So how do you want to work this?
Its best pairing.
You ready?
Yes, sir. Is with Michael Jonathon's long neck banjo.
Once daylight shined on Mayfield and Dawson Springs, and we got to see exactly how extensive the damage was. Blue skies shining on me, nothing but blue skies do I see.
The prolific folk singer and songwriter has orchestrated a fundraiser collecting musical instruments to replace those damaged and lost during the December 10th tornadoes in western Kentucky.
The instruments that those musicians played are gone, whether it's school bands or banjo pickers, guitar players.
12 weeks ago, Jonathon released this call to action.
And I knew that we can't roof houses, we can't rebuild water lines, we can't erect electricity lines and stuff. But as musicians, we know the power of music and the importance of America's front porch.
It only took 7 years to reach this point.
This is actually a fairway driver.
Since 2015, Arrowhead Disc Golf Course on Scenic Drive in Louisville has grown. From a few clunky homemade baskets.
That is a hole one's tee pad.
To a nationally respected 27-hole recreational destination.
My husband and son, they made homemade baskets out of, what were those, barrels?
Vivian Wyatt says what started as a father-son project quickly adopted a following of disc golfers like Sean Dunn.
There you go.
Just a very easy little putter or mid-range, float it straight across.
Hand-built launch pads, bridges, and steps are proof of the family's dedication to the sport and appreciation for those who come to play. But of all the course fixtures crafted by hand, this closed sign is the only one that feels out of place.
And then in October, we got the notification violation. They told us to shut down operations.
No one knew how bad it was until after the sun came up.
Well, the typical sounded like a train and jumped into the hallway and it hit and my ears popped and I knew everything was going to go to hell then.
Mayfield, a town of 10,000, was devastated by an EF4 tornado.
Like with any tornado, there are neighborhoods left intact and there are neighborhoods where nothing's standing.
It would take days to count the dead.
There's no reason I should be alive. And I honestly tell you, I don't think I'll ever be the same.
I really expected to find our dog dead yesterday, and that's a miracle we found her alive.
It would take weeks to tally the damage and months to clear the debris. How long before Mayfield is healed? Will take more sunrises like this one.
The tornado come right over me.
At least, Sandra Collins says she's doing better than before. Like thousands of Kentuckians, Collins' home was destroyed by 180-mile-per-hour winds. It was one blow, precluded by another. The catastrophic storm came just a few days after Collins says her mother died from COVID.
They had her in the hospital for a month, and she never did come back out.
Collins has been grieving and living with her sister ever since.
It was like 2 weeks before the tornado hit, so.
12 months later, Collins still has hope for the future.
Okay, so this one is number 7. And we got number 6 right here.
Not only is the 58-year-old working again, she's part of a building project for low-income renters like herself.
It's starting to inspire people now because for so long we didn't have anything.
Collins says she's applied to a similar home buying program in another neighborhood.
That was your bathroom right here.
And part of that process is steady employment.
I got this job to work so I could get a home because to pay the taxes and stuff on the homes, you had to have a job.
Another reason for hope? Collins says she's 15 months sober.
My life was not a good life. I was an addict, and so I changed my life around 15 months ago. My life is good now.
It's been 1 year since Sandra Collins lost her mom, and 1 year since she lost her home. Every day she works to rebuild her life.
I know God is sending this to me.
And every sunrise, it gets a little better.